Good evening and welcome to the annual meeting for the City of Hartford Joint Review Board as we go over all of our open TIF districts. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And we will go through introductions starting from, because we do have a quorum, starting from the right of the dais here.
Mark Smith, Hartford Joint number 1.
I'm Rob Belk. I represent Dodge County. I'm the first chair.
Jeff Walters, Hartford Union High School District.
Tim Mahalik, Mayor, City of Hartford.
Ken McCulloch, Citizen Representative.
Dave Barber, Washington County Representative.
Thank you very much. Okay, again, we do have a quorum. This time we'll review the minutes of May 23rd, 2022, which is in your packet. We would look for a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
So moved by Rob, second by Mark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. I know we don't have too many people in our vast studio audience, but we always do ask 3 times just to check the box. Anybody wishing to speak to the Joint Review Board, just come up to the podium. You get 3 glorious minutes. Anybody? Aha. No worries. We have a complete slate here. Yes, just right at the end. Thank you very much. And just state your name and who you represent. Just pull the mic up, make sure it's on. There.
Carrie Kushabuski. Not sure if it's on.
Yep, it's on.
Okay. Moraine Park Technical College.
Wonderful, thank you. Everybody here, wonderful. We really actually haven't started other than just the hellos. So, with that, we will go in review of reports and discussion for the tax increment District 7 and 9 in Dodge County. And with this, will be handled by our city administrator, Steve Volkert. Jacob will be sitting second chair.
Yeah, so Jacob Moss is the new city planner. He joined us as of last week, Wednesday, so I'd like to introduce him tonight. For this meeting, he's as you said, sitting second chair tonight. So the purpose of this meeting is to review the existing TIDs that are open in the city of Hartford. Those exist that are still open are TIDs number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. We'll go through those separately because and take any questions you might have regarding these TIDs. The purpose of this is just to make sure that everyone understands where they're at. These TIDs are at financially so that you know the health of those TIDs and are able to review what the priorities are and those items in which you feel that are going to be moving forward as far as retiring on time. Of course, as soon as a TID does retire, then the new increment then becomes available to all the taxing jurisdictions which are represented tonight. So with that, we'll start off with, through your executive summary, you saw TIDs number 7 and 9. These are both TIDs that are created in the Dodge County area. The 2 TIDs that, again, are available in this area, TID number 7, as we said, was created back in August of 2011. Mandatory termination date of August 9th. It's an industrial tax increment district encompassing 2 land parcels in both Dodge and Washington County in northwest Hartford. And it was primarily made for Signacast LLC. Financially, I'm just going to kind of cut to the chase on all of these. Signacast originally was planning to do X amount of development within that lot. They have cut that building to the amount of pods that they currently have. The building is basically a main building with pods to the left and to the right. The amount of pods in which they have built was short of what was originally projected to be done. Thus, the TID has a slight deficit. The deficit at the point is $104,421. This will be extended or need to be extended for 1 to 2 years past its termination date in order to fully recoup all of the city costs that were involved in this one. So this is right now what you considered as being a slightly stressed TID under the state guidelines. The other one is TID number 9, again created in 2015. mandatory termination date of 2035. This is, again, is an industrial TID along Goodland Road. And the purpose of this one had to do with the expansion of Polyfirst Packaging located at 2261 Innovation Way, and facilitated the completion of 2 public purpose projects in the city of Hartford, total of 61.55 acres. As of this point in time, Pro Ampac has progressed to the area that was originally projected, and the ending balance currently is $394,967. There are no, let me check that. The additional expenses are $2,321,000. Future revenue is expected to be at 1.9. So again, it should retire on time. Again, that date on that would be 2035. Any questions regarding those 2 TIDs that have any allocation to Dodge County?
Is there any discussion about, instead of extending it a couple years out, about taking a solvent TIF and then transferring some money into that TIF 7 so it's solvent?
Sharing of TIDs is obviously one of the things that we might be able to do. Again, with a sharing of TIDs, it has to have a close proximity, so 9 would be a possibility. If we found that 9 had a surplus going into its final years, then sharing would be a possibility, yes. Good question. Any other questions on TIDs 7 and 9? If not, we'll move on to TIDs 6, 8, 10, and 11. These are all in Washington County. First one, TID number 6, created in 2008. The mandatory termination date is 2028. That also is an industrial tax TID. That is along Grant Street, and it was for the expansion of an existing facility and the redevelopment of that area. Total acreage is 15.49 acres. And the beginning balance as of 2022 was $25,813. The expenditures included developer grant of $23,000. This is a pay-go, obviously. And that goes to Wacker Drive Properties. And again, it has a positive cash flow as of the end of the year, with future revenue estimated about $74,000, estimated cost of $86,000. So along with the balance and what we have in there, again, it is expected to be paid off on time in 2028. Any questions on TID number 6?
Any possibility in any of these maturing earlier that we would pull it early because the money has been made? We want to make these dollars available to all the people represented here.
Yeah, where you see more of the early maturity is when you have an upfront cost payout TID. With TIDs that are pay-go, you rarely ever see it pay off in advance because, again, you're always paying that 80%, 70%,
Right,
whatever it
understood.
is. So,
Right.
TID number 8, created in 2013, estimated termination date 2033. That, again, is in the heart of the city. It was for Steelcraft Properties and facilitate the completion of 2 public purpose projects for the city. It's 27.72 acres. This is also a pay-go, developer grant. And again, this one has a current balance, and with the expenditures and revenues projected for the rest of this, again, it is estimated that it will pay off the TID within the time period of 2033. Any questions on TID number 8? Seeing none, tax incremental number 10. This was just done in 2016. This is for the downtown area. Some of the key properties in the downtown that were affected by the TID included the Rincon property, the apartment complex in downtown, the Wissota Chop House and the Cobblestone Hotel. That was actually the first recipient of funding. And so that TID itself right now does show a deficit at the end of, or at as of 2022 of $2,923,000. We are anticipating an ending balance deficit of $2,605,000. However, there is plenty of opportunity for additional expansion within this. And there is a payback from the original developer of Rincon, known as Gray Wolf, which will help offset some of these costs. Again, the future revenue is estimated at $7 million. So we're working on this TID to get it back to online. But again, we are projecting that it will pay off in time. This was a good example of one that had upfront costs. So there was a investment by the city for the Cobblestone. We purchased the 3 properties, 3 houses that were there at the time, if you remember that, back that far. We purchased that, knocked it down, and then they took the now greenfield and was able to develop that. We also did a $1.1 million investment in the property where Rincon is right now. We basically purchased all the property there, knocked that all down, and then they were able to, and also did some cleanup with help from the county. On that site, it had a little bit of contamination, but we cleaned that all up, and again, that's the reason that it has such a high deficit at this time. So over time, it is estimated to pay off on time.
My understanding too is because of, I mean, you had an apartment complex right downtown, plus a hotel with a restaurant, and 2 years of COVID that knocked the stuffings out of a lot of different companies, and they managed to survive and now thrive, that had something to do with putting the brakes on some of the revenue going on because of what was transpiring across the country.
Yes and no. It's just a situation where, again, this is an upfront expense. The revenue comes after the period, so. And finally, tax number 11, that was created just in 2017, termination date of 2036. This was primarily had to do with North Wacker Drive, a renovation to North Wacker Drive, and also the expansion of Brone Newtown. So this one had quite a few public purpose projects tied into it. It's a total of 39.12 acres. Again, the beginning balance was a positive $180,914. There was a developer grant of $66,000. And then again, we had the additional costs for the Wacker Drive improvements, which, if you remember, was quite a bit of improvements to Wacker Drive. Overall, this project is doing well. TID number 11 shows a positive number right now. And again, this one, if any, because there is no ongoing payment made to a developer, this one should be able to easily resign by 2036. If possible earlier, obviously, we would push for that. You have behind that, again, the spreadsheet that I'm sure you've all gone through, along with TID comparisons year to year regarding all these TIDs. We also included a TID map, so as you're going through them, you can kind of see where these TIDs are. The city has been reviewing the option of opening another TID, TID 12, but again, that will come forward at the time of the need. So,
I appreciate the map because we haven't always gotten that kind of brings it out, and I would encourage an inclusion of that each time. So when we have this is a state statute mandated meeting that we have once a year. That didn't always happen while I was here, but they plugged that in. So it's nice to have the thoroughness, and like I said, the map really does give the visual. So if we keep that included, that'd be great. Thanks for throwing it in. Sounded like there was a question. Anybody?
Yeah, I had
Go ahead, Rob.
2 questions. So on a creation of a new TIF or tax or TID district, Would that 12% evaluations, would that be for the whole city, or would that be divided up by, depending on which county you're in?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
So on a TIF, you have to have your 12% evaluations for the entire city. You can't be above that threshold.
That's correct.
So is that the whole city as a whole, or does it get divided into two separate parcels because we're in two separate counties?
It had to be the whole city as a whole.
That was
Yeah,
my
the
understanding.
DOR requires that we have to stay within it for the whole city.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Let's make it
And
so
TIDs are
easy.
still a very good tool for any municipality to use right now, as long as the risk is right for municipalities and all the taxing jurisdictions. But I think one thing is that Hartford has done a very good job at making sure that the risk is very low. Having one slightly distressed TID, which, as was pointed out, could be shared and that final payment be shared and be able to still retire on time, is very good for a community of our size. There are other communities, which I may be very aware of from my past, which they had 5 or 6 extremely distressed TIDs. And those are all based on those front-loaded TIDs, where you gave the farm away to somebody, and then the promise didn't come through. So the individuals in these seats, well before we got here, did a great job of protecting the taxing entities with these TIDs, so.
Yep, we've been fortunate. So,
Any other questions?
that's all we've got. Super, well, thank you very much. We stand adjourned to the call of the chair.